Well, the Royals get swept at home, not once, but twice this week, going 0-6 on the homestand. And it definitely feels like not just the fan base, but the Royals as a whole. This season is going down in the dumps. Let's talk about it.
Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy JD6 here. I'm with my man. Shout out to KC Sports Authority. Make sure y'all go check that podcast out, man.
You heard the man. Welcome into the KC Sports Authority podcast. He's Christopher Tenpenny, and I'm Keegan Russell, and we are talking about the winless stretch the Royals just went on at home, getting dominated by not just the best team in the American League, but the second worst team in the American League, going 0-6 on this home stretch. The Royals have 2 wins in the month of June so far, 2-9. Cole Ragans is on the injured list, and we get an update that he's out 6 to 8 weeks. Nobody in this lineup seems to be hitting right now. The pitching's struggling just a bit. Chris, it feels like the season is going down in the dumps. I don't even know where to start here. Do we start with the embarrassment of the Athletic series or the fact that you went 0-6 as a whole in this last week?
Yeah, I think you have to start with the A series because, like, the Yankees getting swept, like, that sucked. A lot of those games were on national TV and there was some excitement. But it is the Yankees. We know the Royals just talent-wise don't match up with them. There's a number of things that were frustrating about it. But the A's, to get swept and the way they got swept is just absolutely embarrassing. Like, this was a team, you swept the A's last year, and it really kind of propelled you into June, made you feel pretty good. And it was like, it was 2 weeks earlier in like May, but it was similar time frame. And it kind of felt like a launching pad. And you thought if the Royals could win 2 or 3 or even sweep the A's, that, hey, we'll put the Yankee series behind us. There'll still be a few games. There'll be a few games over 500 at that point, and we'll see what happens. Now it's like you were saying earlier, like if they go on this road trip and it's like a 2-4 road trip or 2-6 before the Dodgers come into town, whatever it may be, you're feeling like, hey, what can we get from Lugo? What can we get for Lorenzen? Like, we're selling at the deadline, trying to retool, and that's not really where this team, what the conversation was even 10 days ago when Cags got called up.
Yeah, 10 days ago it was, hey, the offense has been struggling. Let's get our best weapon in the minor league system up here. And honestly, in the first 4, 5, 6 games, the offense did pick up. It just also coincided with the pitching sliding just enough that they couldn't get enough wins out of it. And now it's kind of different each day. One day it's nothing's happening on the base paths. The offense pitching looks solid. Then you get to the bullpen. Then the next day it's, hey, Waka has a rough outing. The Royals actually figure out how to score some runs, but it's still not enough. Like, they just collectively as a team are not winning as a team right now. And it's an ugly, ugly June. The nice thing is, let's just get this out of the way. They're still only 3 games back of the wild card. So no, by no means, while the season does feel like we're down in the dumps right now because it's been a rough 10-day stretch, the season by no means is out of control. The division race might be hard to get back to, but even that, you're I think 10 games out of the division race, something like that. So by no means does this mean the season is over, but it definitely feels like things are trending in the downward direction hard and fast. Between, again, Cole Ragans, your supposed ace, going on the injured list for the second time this year. Get the update from JJ Picoult today that he's probably not going to be back on the mound till after the All-Star game at best. Could be, right now he's on the 15-day list. I don't anticipate a 60-day move unless they feel like they got to bring somebody up. So you've got that going. Cags has looked decent coming up, hasn't run into the power just yet. Bobby's not been great at the plate this last week. It's basically been Michael Garcia. And you could definitely see the last 2 days the significance of not having Jonathan India in the lineup. But just nothing really great going for us right now, other than getting Lucas Ursig back from the injured list. But yeah, this A series, man, my goodness, this was ugly.
It just felt like they couldn't push the right button. Like, every time, like today, I know a lot of people are mad at Q for pulling Noah Cameron at 83 pitches, 5 innings, And like, there's an off day tomorrow. This is a young kid who's like, I get the move. And like, sure, it sucks Schreiber came up and gave up the 2-run homer and that Estevez gave up a homer in the 9th. But like, if you give up, your bullpen gives up 3 runs over 4 innings, That's going to happen from time to time. Your offense should be able to overcome it. The issue is the offense only scored 2. So people mad at Q, people mad at Esteves, people mad at Schreiber. Like, that's just the offense has you so conditioned that you can only give up 1 to 2 runs, that's where your anger goes to first. Like, it's still such an offensive issue. They lost to the Yankees 1-0 without Judge in the lineup. Like, they lost, 4-0. They lost to the White Sox earlier 4-1. Like, it's still like, sure, there's been a few more blow up games. Lorenzen's had a couple bad games, not his last start. Lugo, has been hit and miss since he's been back, but like, it's still all comes down on the lineup where it feels like India has a decent plan at the plate where he feels like he executes, the results or whatever, but it feels like at least he has an idea. Same can be said for Vinny. And then beyond that, like as far as a plan, it feels like Michael and Bobby are getting off on talent, and the rest of the lineup is just no idea. It's just guessing. And it was never more evident than it was 2 nights ago when against that lefty for the A's, I forget his name. They were just taking middle fastballs, and it was like,
talking about the 13 strikeout game,
yeah, it was like
against Lopez.
you guys don't even have a plan. Like, again, so when only 2 guys have a plan at the plate, and again, Bobby, it feels like he's just going on talent.
He's pressing.
When you're going on talent and you're pressing, you're going to have stretches like this. Like, this is why I always laugh at the people that like blame the hitting coach. Pitching coach, that's something, like, there's a lot of philosophy stuff with pitching coach. That one we can have a discussion about, not for this Royals team, but just like in general. People that get mad at the hitting coach is just always so laughable to me, because most of these guys have their own private hitting coaches. They have their own thing. They're trying to get better on their own. Like, the hitting coach is just kind of there for fine-tune mechanics and sure things up. But having said that, when you were like 4th in all of baseball in fly ball percentage and last in home runs, something needs to change. Like, something needs to change on a philosophy thing. Like, I don't care what Michael Massey or Jonathan India or whoever's hitting coach is telling them. Like, get the ball on the dang ground for this team, because they just don't have the power. And at least on a ground ball, it may find a hole.
Yep.
In the big leagues, if you pop one up 50 feet, that's getting caught every single time.
It's been ugly.
I could rant about this all the time, so I'm sorry if I go rant. It's just,
no, you're fine. This
so frustrating on
the,
so many
the
levels.
last week has been hard to watch. This A series, I think Jake Eisenberg said it really well. I think it was game 1 of the series. I was tuning into pregame, and he said, the A's might be the second worst team in the American League. They might have one of the worst pitching staffs in baseball, one of the worst bullpens in baseball. Because they're a talented offensive group, and if the Royals want to take anything out of the series, they're going to have to score runs. And as soon as he said that, I just had this bad feeling of the Royals are going to be bad against a bad team.
Yeah.
And that's what Saturday just shut the doors on them. 13 strikeouts. I think Salvi struck out 3 times. I think you had 2 different guys in the lineup that had 3 strikeouts. It was bad. You couldn't put anything together. And then even in that game, Mason Miller gets out there in a blowout and gives up a couple runs to get it back to close. And you just look up and down this lineup, and the Drew Waters experiment, he was decent for a few weeks, and he's kind of coming back to ground. But we said this a few weeks ago. If you're relying on your 7, 8, 9 guys to be run production, while they have looked good, Kyle Isbell has still had a pretty decent year at the plate. You're not going to get anywhere when the top 5 aren't doing it. And now we're seeing CAG slide down the lineup a little bit. And so there's still a massive hole on this team offensively. Mark Canha hasn't really been the answer, even against lefties. I have questions on some of Q's lineups and guys not getting more looks that maybe could. At the end of the day, the problem is this team doesn't have any guys that can drive runs. If Vinny's not giving you, if you're not getting 4 runs a night out of your top 5, which is just the way this roster is structured, you're not getting anywhere the rest of the season. And we've said this the last several weeks. There's not a lot of options right now. As we get closer to the trade deadline, sure, a lot of names are going to pop up, but this team needs power desperately. And I was talking with a couple of buddies the other day, and the question was phrased, if you're the Royals and both of these guys are available, who would you rather have? And I laughed at the answer one of my buddies gave, because it was, would you rather have Luis Arias or Kyle Schwarber? He goes, "Oh, I take Luis Ariz every single day of the week." And I looked at him. I said, "Dude, Luis Ariz can get on base. Don't get me wrong. He can get on base. What does that do for this team? The guys that do get on base have nobody hit them in. Schwarber might strike out 15 out of his next 20 plate appearances, but he's going to run into a 3-run shot every now and then, and if not a solo shot to lead off a game every other night. So this team is in desperate need of power, but there's really the answer is really right in front of them. It's got to be Salvi, Vinny, Bobby, Cags, and the occasional 6, 7, 8, 9 guy needs to run into something.
Yeah, and like again, the actual hitting part, it really isn't that big of an issue. Like it's a little outdated, but 2 or 3 nights ago, they had a flashed up on team leaders and batting average, and the Royals are like fifth in all of baseball with like a 250 some batting average, which just tells you where batting average is right now. That 250 can be top five. I
Yeah.
remember like a 2000. There's a 2008 2009 Royals team that like DeJesus hit 300, Mike Avila's rookie year hit over 300. Like they were like 290, and that team still almost lost 100 games. So like the same Royals team is having issues as those old Royals teams where they can hit compared to the rest of the league. They get their hits, they get their 8, 9. They're just all singles. How many times did we see a 2-out single over this last week? A lot. Like it just felt like every time that someone would just bleed one, get their base knock, and be like, "Oh, cool! Now the next guy can strike out or pop up, and we're not going to get him home." Like this team needs some thump. It's not. It comes back to Salvi. Like I think honestly, that's the number one bat that like. Sure, Vinny's not hitting for as much thump as we'd like, and Bobby's not hitting for as much thump as we'd like. But Michael's kind of picking up the slack a little bit there. Maybe not quite as much as we would like, but enough to where it just really feels like if Salvi was on a 25 home run pace and not a
Yeah.
13 home run pace, that this team would just change completely. But he's just struggling so much. Like
Shoot,
again,
Salvi, it's bad enough now. I don't know if you've seen this on your end anywhere yet, and I can't remember who posted it, but I saw it come across YouTube, send me a notification of some other podcast network, something out there, put up a video today, a headline of uh, something about Salvador Perez retiring at the end of this year.
yeah, I don't think we're
Saying
there.
is saying, is it time that the Royals talk Salvi into retirement because of how bad it's been? Are we there? No. Salvi loves this game way too much. You're gonna have to force him out of baseball for him to actually retire. But yeah, your point's valid there. Salvi has been. I mean, Salvi's been the same hitter he's always been.
Just without the
So when
pop.
it's bad, it's bad. And he just this year it has not clicked yet. He hasn't had that 10 to 15 game stretch where it makes up for the swinging at a low outside slider 15 feet outside of the box because he swings at everything. It's yes, Salvi's the key. You get Salvi going. I think the guys around him get going. I thought Vinny said something, they have their players only meeting, which is never a good sign either. It doesn't really mean anything. But Vinny just said before the game today on Sunday, he said, "Yeah, it just doesn't look like we're having fun out there.
Mm-hmm.
We got to have some fun playing baseball." And I've always been a big proponent of that with any team sport. If you're not enjoying playing the game, you're not going to be successful. They didn't look like they had fun today either. So even though they said, players only meeting, they got their whatever, nothing seemed to change today with their approach to the game or the energy. And the sad thing is the most energetic, positive part of the last 10 days or this 6 game home stretch was probably just the Gordo Hall of Fame ceremony.
Yeah, that was
Outside of
awesome.
that, this team was lifeless the entire week.
Yeah, I don't know what's causing that too, because like it is a group that likes each other. Like you see the chemistry for the most part, and again, Salvi's that great moderator between the Latin and American born players. But it just feels so flat, and I really can't put my finger on why that is. Like Jack seems to have a great personality. So you think he
Mhm.
would fit right in, and like Canna was speaking in the players meeting, so there's clearly some respect there that they have for him, and it's like it feels like this group still gets along. I don't see any cracks there, unless the only one I can think of is maybe that's why Drew Waters never got a shot, but I highly doubt that he's causing that big of an issue as a fourth outfielder ish
Yeah.
kind of player. Like I don't. Maybe the day off it will be good. They'll get on the road, get away from Kauffman Stadium. what is it? It's the Rangers and
Rangers and the Pirates, I
and
believe.
I think it's the Padres actually.
Padres. Sorry,
So
Padres.
it's not the easiest of road trips. Now the Rangers have been hitting a little bit better, but they're kind of built like the Royals this year, where they're relying on their pitching more. So maybe you can luck out a little bit, but that's a big ballpark. You're going to have the same issues you do at Kauffman trying to hit homers. You can't do it. Meanwhile, the Padres, like, that could get ugly. But hey, if they come out of this homestand 3-3 or road trip 3-3, and then I don't have the schedule up in front of me, but I have that Dodgers circled in 2 weeks, and it's like,
Yep, you go
just
Rangers, Padres. You come back home for the Rays for 3 games, which the Rays are playing pretty well right now.
right.
They're a playoff team as it stands currently. And then, yeah, you got the Dodgers at home. And
It
then you go
just
right back on the road to the Mariners, also a playoff team.
Yeah, it's just I feel like they just need to play 500 ball, because again, the we're gonna if they start to really struggle and fall, we'll be talking selling. But like, I want to remind everyone that the 2014 Royals were last in homers, and they were 50-50 at the 100 game mark, and at won 89 games and hosted a wild card, which is still the 4 seed, even with the extra team in this playoff. So that's like, not all hope is lost. And that team didn't really do a lot at the deadline. They brought in Josh Willingham. They brought in, I believe, Jason Frazier. Maybe I'm a year off on that. Like, it wasn't like they did a lot. They just, the talent they had on the team.
Josh Willingham. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, he had a big AB in the wild card
Johnny
game.
Gomes.
Yeah, Johnny Gomes. Like, or no, he was still on the
That
end of
was
his
20.
next
Yeah, that
year.
was the next year.
But like, so like,
Jason Bay.
he
Did
was
they have Jason?
no, they
Did
never
they
brought
bring Jason Bay or Jason something like that? There was some other. There was an out. Yeah, there
Jason
was a left
Nix.
fielder. Jason. That's what it is. Jason Nix.
Yeah. So like, I think this team is kind of built similarly. Again, we would love to add a few bats, but I think there's enough talent to where, if just a few guys can click, if Salvi can hit that next gear, if Massey can come back healthy, if Cags can start to hit, they can get by on maybe adding a platoon type bat, and while staying 2 or 3 games under 500, to where if it all finally clicks, August and September can happen. So I
Yeah.
don't want to attack this team like they're dead in the water. I just really need them to play 500 ball for the next month, because if it falls off a ship, then it's all about retooling. You're getting rid of Lugo. You're getting rid of Lorenzen. You're taking calls on Ursic and Estevez. I know Ursic's been awesome with a lot of control, but he's still a 30-year-old reliever that's had a few injury things. So, like, I would potentially think about it if this falls off a cliff. I don't want to have those conversations yet, though. I just want to keep around anywhere from 4 to games under, over, and then we'll see what can happen.
Yeah, like I said, you're still. I mean, Baltimore's starting to pick up a tiny, tiny bit to where they still have a fighter's chance, but most of the American League is completely up for grabs as far as the wild card goes. So this team's still got plenty of opportunity. They're a 6-4, 10-game stretch. 6 wins, 4 losses of being 2 to 1.5 games back of the wild card. So like it's still fine. But yeah, the offense definitely needs it. But they still have some things to worry about. So I want to ask you about the Cole Ragans thing today. Noah Cameron has slid in his spot and looked pretty solid, but we're starting to see some of there's always the sayings in baseball. You can't have too much depth because things tend to work out the way they need to. And that's what's happened with the pitching rotation. The question was going to be, does Michael Lorenzen go to the bullpen? Who does Noah Cameron go back down for a week? What do you do when Cole Ragans comes back from the IL? Well, Ragans goes back on the IL, solves that problem. But he's now out for basically 2 months. We'll call it 2 months roughly. Lugo has been a little bit dinged up this year, starting to, I wouldn't say slow down, but has had signs of slowing down. Waka has still been pretty solid. Do you think this rotation can hold up enough over the next 2 months without Cole Ragans? Now even before injury, Ragans was not the ace we saw last year necessarily, but this solid starting rotation's getting a few cracks in its foundation.
Yeah, I still don't think it's that big of an issue. Now, you are missing your frontline guy that you feel like you could give the ball and he can go out and strike out 11 guys, which Reagan's at his best can.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really have that guy. Now, Bubic is getting pretty dang close, but we've seen that they're monitoring him a little bit, skipping a start. I'm sure they'll do that again at some point. Like, that's the issue, is that now your best starter this year is a guy that hasn't pitched, is already past his innings from last year, and obviously missed all of 2023 with Tommy John. So that's a little nerve wracking. But Lugo and Waka and even Lorenzo to a lesser extent are such pros that
Mm,
with Bubic and with Noah Cameron, who again, Noah Cameron outside of a start against the Yankees where Aaron
yeah.
Judge took him 470, like he's still been incredible. So, I think they still have the horses, they have I'm curious to see what Rich Hill does, because he can opt out and he's starting to build.
I think it's like literally in the next 2 or 3 days.
Right, right. So I'm curious to see what he does, but I like the five that the Royals have more than Rich Hill. So if they lose him, they lose him. Kyle Wright's made a start at AAA today. I didn't see how it went, but he's some depth. Um, I still, you can still, with enough long relievers and Lynch and Bolin, like you can still piece together a few bullpen days. Like I still think the pitching's in a fairly good spot.
Mm,
But if Lugo really falls off and one more injury happens, then you have to start asking a question. But I do like what they have. Maybe not for the playoffs, because again, if
sure.
Ragans isn't in if they are somehow able to climb out of this hole and make the playoffs, and Ragans isn't Ragans, you might as well just call it a season, because you're going to need a guy. That was a big reason why they won the wild card. It was a big reason why they didn't look overmatched against the Yankees in the DS, was because of Ragans in the rotation. But as far as to get through the season, yes, I think they have more than enough pitching right now.
And again, we're still a month and a half out, but as things stand currently, are the Royals still buyers at the deadline?
Yeah, I think they're cautious buyers right now. The big swings we were talking, like maybe do you float one of our young catchers out? Maybe do you float, even a Noah Cameron out? Like those kind of big deals that we were talking about, I think you pull back on. It might be minor thing, 18-year-old lottery tickets for reliever depth
Yeah.
or a platoon bat. I think that's the kind of where the Royals are in right now. But I still think that they are in the buyer-ish market, unless someone like the Red Sox calls and they're like, "Hey, we'll give you Jaron Duran for Seth Lugo," and you're like, "Okay."
Yeah, that was a wild trade today that I did not see coming. I know there's been talk with Rafael Devers all year and the frustration since the offseason, going getting Bregman, asking him to move positions, DHing him full time. Tristan Casas gets injured. Hey, will you go play first for us now? And he's like, basically gave him a big middle finger. No, I'm not
Yeah,
doing that.
it's
You
crazy.
gave me the contract. I'm the guy. They flip him to the Giants for I guess a starting pitcher and a reliever who can start, which the Red Sox do need some additional pitching, but did not see that one coming. But yeah, outside of like an unexpected move like that, it's the same conversation we've had the entire season. There's not many trade targets, realistic trade targets that you feel like are going to do enough to move the needle. So if that means you play cautious for the next 6 to 8 weeks, great. Again, the nice thing is there's about 10 teams in the same boat the Royals are in right now, to where it doesn't force your hand in any direction. All you need, all you need, Salvi to start getting warm. Doesn't even have to be hot, just warm. Bobby back to doing Bobby. And I think the first home run we see from Cags could be the trickle down effect to get this offense steamrolling. To me, it just seems like this lineup needs some confidence. I mean, they say it like in basketball. You need to see that free throw go down. You need to see that first three go down, and then you're good to go. Baseball, same thing. You need to see that ball get through the hole and get on base a couple times in a row. And you got your swagger back. I look at some of the guys around the league right now. Ronald Acuna is on an absolute tear right now. Confidence stretch. Baseball's got all these swings. You've got the guys that have the upward swing for 2 or 3 weeks, and then they struggle for a week or two. Kyle Schwarber's coming off of an ugly stretch for the Phillies at the same time as Bryce Harper being on the injury list. 3 home runs in 3 straight days. Ellie De La Cruz, 3 home runs in 3 straight days.
I think he's up to
Don't
four.
think the Royals have any. Did he homer again today?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so there's four. Otani back-to-back games. Teoscar Hernandez 3 games in a row. We don't have that kind of guy here, unfortunately, but that's really all it takes. It takes a couple guys to get hot at the right time. You just hope that as soon as the offense does figure it out, it does not coincide with starting pitching struggling to where they're giving up 3 or 4 runs from the starters, on top of the Royals only scoring 4 or 5 runs. But outside of that, not a lot of optimism. You've got vulnerable team in front of you right now with the Rangers that are kind of in the same boat, like you were saying. A lot of talent on the team. It just isn't clicking. They've got a tremendous pitching and bullpen depth. The offense just isn't there like we are accustomed to seeing the Rangers. So you've got an opportunity to go in and steal a game or
They
two there
fired their
and
hitting
give
coach.
some, and get some momentum back. But things are ugly so far in June, and there's still half the month left with
Yeah.
a pretty deep schedule over the next 2 months coming up.
Yeah, what's crazy is this still will be like the 7th best Royals team of our lifetime. So
Yeah. Well, see, all it takes one winning season, one playoff season changes
right,
expectations. That's because we are what have you done for me lately type of that's the way sports are now. If you unless you're accustomed, well, which we have been accustomed to the losing, once you get a taste of the winning, you don't ever want to go back. So
right.
don't give me the taste or consistently be there every year.
That's what made this stretch so difficult. Is like everyone who's a Royals fan has seen some rough times. I mean, and there's been some way worse stretches than this current stretch, but this just hit a little deeper because you were having some optimism. You called up Jack Caglione. You were feeling like, hey, we can get back going. We can take it to the Yankees, and it just felt lifeless. Like this team needs to get in a fight. And I know there's people they're not built like that. Salvy's never been a fighter, it was even on those.
Jonathan India is a little feisty.
Yeah, but the issue is that like I feel like Michael Garcia and Kyle Isbell are fighters, but they're not your typical baseball hotheads. They're like, if I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna fight. And they can't really do that in a baseball scrum, so they kind of hold it back a little bit. Like I need some guys that are just going to start screaming at, one another, not actually do anything. And the Royals really don't have anybody like that,
Yeah,
except for maybe India.
Yeah, in India, I mean, yeah, if he gets a pitch thrown at his face, yeah, I think he'll be fired up enough. Yeah, that's a good analysis there. I don't think this team, not that they can't fight, but they don't look like a team that when push comes to shove, are they going to be up there defending themselves?
Yeah, I think
Right now, they're getting pushed around a bit.
I think Zerpa could end a fight real quick
Oh
too.
yeah,
I don't know what it is, man. He just looks like a guy that if someone charged him, he's standing on top of that mountain looking down at someone. Is that if that's the case?
100% agree. I think Drew Waters might have a little bit of that energy in
Oh
him
man, I think
too.
he's kind of soft too.
You'd like to think
Do.
Vinny being from the Bronx area, the New York guy, but he's just so freaking nice to everybody
Yeah,
that
Vinny.
you don't know if
Vinny
he's
is
gonna
not a
get in
fighter.
the scrum. But
Yeah.
yeah, this team could use some fight. Hopefully we see some fight Tuesday down in Texas. Would love to just see a ball go over the fence.
Yeah.
Don't care who it is in the lineup. Ideally, one of the top 4 or 5 guys in that lineup. Salvi needs that 2 week stretch where he's got 8 home runs in 15 games, and Bobby's hitting 400 over the course of a 6 game stretch, and Cags gets to see his first long ball. I've been betting that every single game since he's come up, and it's starting. The losses are stacking up, but it'll be so much sweeter because he's getting close to plus 900, plus 1,000 on the
Yeah.
home run line. So when it does hit, it's going to hit big. But that's all I got. You got any other any immediate reaction thoughts to where we're sitting now going into the
No,
week?
we didn't talk about him much just because there's so many other issues. But the Cags, I think he's been fine. He's exactly as advertised, minus the power. So like the rest of the team, once the power comes, those
Yeah.
numbers will look a little good. But bat on ball skills, exit velocities, obviously chases a little bit. That was the
Yeah,
sky.
you can tell he's trying to. I wouldn't say he's pressing, but I think I'm going to get a better pitch early, so I want to take advantage of it.
Right, and I think that he's going to be a first pitch hitter for a lot of his career. But like he's getting some knocks. There's enough things to grow on that I'm not. Again,
A hard hit rate.
yeah, exactly. Like, that only goes so far, but it's enough right this early to where I'm like, okay, this guy's still going to be something.
Yeah, I agree with you. But we'll wrap up there. Make sure if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're checking us out over on Spotify, listening to us on the go, you can leave us a 5-star review, rate the podcast, give us a follow over there, share the podcast with a friend, and then make sure you're coming back each week for all of our additional content. KU basketball talk right now. Spencer and I just put out an NBA episode talking about some of the offseason stuff coming up with Kevin Durant. Chris, before long here, we're going to start talking a little bit of Chiefs football too.
Yeah.
As we are getting closer and closer to the season, and we'll have to talk a little bit about some of the things we're seeing in the offseason workouts. wide receiver room, Jalen Royals is starting to catch a lot of attention with Chiefs fans as a fun weapon to add into the mix. But yeah, we'll get into all that. So make sure you come back, check us out. You can hit us up on any of our social medias at KCSA Pod. But that'll do it for this one. We'll catch you guys.
Best Royal in Kansas City.
Best Royal in Kansas City, 100%. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.